Hello, everyone. I'm here for one of my stories. It's Lindsay Dunn, and today I wanted to get on and do a review of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. You know what it's about. It is the third and final of the Guardians of the Galaxy movies put out by James Gunn. It's got all of our favorites: Peter Quill, Drax, Rocket, Groot, Nebula, and Mantis. Gamora is off doing her own thing in the beginning, but she does match up with the crew and become part of the story as it evolves. We also have a couple of new characters: Chikwu Awuji as the High Evolutionary, Will Poulter as Adam Warlock, and Elizabeth Debicki as Aisha, his mother. Everybody loves the Guardians of the Galaxy. If you don't like any other MCU film, most people do love the Guardians. And what's ironic, as I remember when this movie first came out, I was so confused. I was like, how is this cool? There's a raccoon, there's a tree. I don't understand why everybody is going so gaga about this movie, but finally I ended up seeing it. I think this is still when the world had those $2 theaters. I saw it at the very last moment at a $2 theater, and then I got it. The chemistry between the characters is so great, and the characters are all lovable. We like this ragtag crew of people coming together that don't really fit in anywhere else, but they find the chosen family, the typical tropish chosen family together. Guardians of the Galaxy has become a thing that's almost separate from the MCU. We love them. I had an absolute blast with this movie. I've heard a lot of negativity about the tonal swerves, how it will be funny and quippy one moment and then serious and traumatic the second, but I didn't mind that. If you just have wisecracks and quips all the time, then you just have a DC movie. No, I'm just kidding. There's a million movies like that, right? Where it's just quick wisecracks the whole time and fun and upbeat. This movie does have that. It's fun, it's rock and roll, it has the wonderful soundtrack, it has the needle drops, it has the cheer-worthy moments where we want to shout and just bob our heads and vibe with the crew. So we have all the wild adventures you would expect from this movie. They go to different planets, they get into trouble, they use their intuition and their wit and their ability to pivot to get out of tight situations. The difference with this movie that kind of took it a step further is this leans really hard into what is sometimes forgotten about the Guardians of the Galaxy. And that is, before they became the Guardians of the Galaxy, they were all freaks. And in fact, the movie starts with a great needle drop that kind of leans into this heavily, where Rocket is sitting there listening to a cassette player of the song Creep. As he's listening to the song, he's walking around nowhere and sort of reminiscing about his past. And we have to remember that before these people found each other, they were really lost souls. They were freaks, isolated people that were bitter, cynical, and heavy-hearted and isolated. I already said the isolated, but that was a big thing. They were all alone. They all had to just look out for each other, with the exception of Rocket and Groot. Somehow those two found each other and paired up, but they were all freaks in the world. That past has never left them. And so this leans into the past of Rocket. And I loved that choice because Rocket sometimes gets ignored and pushed to the side. And especially as you add on more characters, we added on Nebula. And often the story spends a lot of time with Peter Quill and Gamora because of their love interest. And then Drax and Mantis do their buddy cop routine, or whatever you want to call, with those two, but often that gets the most attention. And Rocket has this really interesting backstory, so they really lean into that. You have to remember what a total jerk Rocket used to be. You know, he always felt like he had to prove himself or show off or be the best. And there was the bit about where he and Peter are always fighting over who gets to be the captain. So this just kind of explains that part of his story. In this story, it starts with an attack on Rocket, everybody pitches in, but he ends up hurt. And so then they go on this adventure to rescue him and have to sort of delve into that past that he has never spoken about. As they're doing that, they go to all these different settings, all set about to rescue him. And they go to strange new worlds. One of them is very strange, and I don't understand why they chose it, but it is very sort of 1970s and kind of gross and squishy. It gets into that heist trope again, where they're all breaking into a facility and trying to do something, and everybody has their piece of the puzzle, and of course things go wrong. Yada, yada, yada. Sometimes the plot does meander. Some people claim that it's too long of a movie, too wild of tonal shifts. Yeah, there were times where I was wondering, where is this going? But I was laughing the entire time, did get emotional, empathetic towards the characters' journeys, especially Rocket. Some of those scenes are difficult to watch, so people be prepared that if you take your kids, there's some very sensitive scenes dealing with animals and animal abuse, and so that could be difficult. It's sweet, it's cute. It's also long, partially because they want to sort of wrap up everybody's storylines. That doesn't mean that everything gets resolved, but they put things to a conclusion. Rocket is the main freak, but we meet other freaks in the story as well. So that's a big trope of like, you're safe with us. The Guardians is where the freaks go. As the story continues, they collect more and more of these freaks. The action scenes are great and cheerworthy, and there's great, I already mentioned the needle drops, so that is to be expected. As far as all these complaints, haters gonna hate. The movie is really good. I had a great time. Saw it with a whole row of my friends. We had a blast. I was laughing. I cried. It was a full story, a complete story. I really enjoyed spending time with the Guardians once again and don't regret a single second of it. So I encourage you to go once, maybe twice, and enjoy the final installment of the Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm going to give this a strong 3.5 out of 5. It's definitely great. When I got out of it, I thought, well, I like this the best of all. Sometimes people get tired of the bickering and the arguing that the characters do, where they're sort of all just arguing, and everybody sort of has to have their moment. I like how loyal these characters are to each other. When Rocket gets attacked, nobody hesitates. They immediately are like, no, 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 you're not going to touch them. Only I can irritate this person. Only I can torture them with my personality. So if anybody comes in that even threatens any member, the group is there ready to defend. And that is heartwarming, if nothing else. So yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy, it's great. Don't listen to any of the negativity you hear. Go see it. Enjoy. Biggest screen. I saw IMAX. I don't think that's necessary. Maybe Dolby. I love Dolby better than IMAX, unless you have a real IMAX, which has the right screen proportion and not the fake IMAX that most theaters try to peddle these days. Go see it. Enjoy this last installment. And I hope everybody has a great weekend. Bye.